Fresh ideas from Whole Foods Market. Today we have a great show for you. We're going to talk about cheese. It's really exciting.
Yay.
And putting cheese in that lunchbox because you know everyone's going back to school. So right now we have Sam Atwood as our special guest. He is a certified cheese professional.
From the American Cheese Society.
That's exciting.
And it's a big deal.
Yes.
And you're going to tell us about it.
He is going to tell us about it. And he's also an associate team leader at our Prospect Street location.
That's right.
In our specialty department, which is all about
cheese. And other things. And other things.
And then, of course, Dina is here.
Hi, everybody.
Dina, our tireless producer.
I know. I worked all month on this.
Working behind the scenes, making sure this show, you know, is a huge success.
That's right. Finding talent.
It's very exciting. Like right here.
Oh,
and of course me, I'm Matt Keller. The marketing, Dina and I are your marketing for Cambridge and Somerville locations of Whole Foods Market. It's very exciting.
It is.
Anyway, so Sam, tell us about being a certified cheese professional.
Well, the American Cheese Society is the foremost association of cheese producers, cheese sellers, cheese distributors in the United States. They've been around, I think, somewhere in the order of 30 years, and as opposed to representing just large dairy concerns, they also represent our artisanal cheeses and things like that. About 5 or 6 years ago, actually in conjunction with Whole Foods as well and a few other organizations, they decided to create a program similar to the sommelier program with wine for
that's cool.
to be able to certify people to work as cheese professionals and have that seal of approval from the American Cheese Society.
Nice.
It covers people in all walks of the cheese industry. So it's not just people like me, who's a cheesemonger, but you have cheese producers, cheese distributors, you have cheese agers, otherwise known as affineurs. They all fall under the blanket. And to become a certified cheese professional...
Affineurs, that's a fun word.
Affineurs, yes.
That's a fun word. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
It's all right.
I just got excited.
To become a certified cheese professional, there's an exam that takes place just once a year at the annual American Cheese Society conference. It's 150 multiple choice questions that covers everything in the cheese industry. So it's everything from the chemistry and science behind cheese making and cheese aging to proper storage of cheese and proper selling of cheese, proper merchandising of cheese, and just a general broad knowledge of major cheeses.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All those little details. I didn't know it was more like being a sommelier. So does it go in levels or is it just certification?
They haven't done that yet. It's still a relatively young program as well. Sommelier has been around for such a long time. Right. It was patterned after the idea of a professional certification in the cheese world, which there hadn't been one in the United States yet. There are several certification programs in Europe, for instance.
Right.
We just didn't have one in America.
Sounds hard. Talk about back to school.
Oh, yeah, a lot of school.
Tests.
All in all, it was about 6 months of study.
That's right.
That's a big deal.
And that was on top of the cheese knowledge I had already gained working with Whole Foods. I'd been with the company working with cheese for about 4 years before that. And then I worked very closely with Kathy Strange, who's the global cheese buyer, for the whole class of people taking the CCP exam that year. We did conference calls every week. I actually had an opportunity to go out to Wisconsin for a week and study at the University of Wisconsin Center for Dairy Research.
That's cool. Like, if Wisconsin knows anything, it's about cheese.
Yeah. Visited a lot of great producers. I actually saw where our 365 feta comes from, the actual plant.
Oh, that's cool.
365 feta is made, and so it was a great opportunity.
Oh, sounds like quite a journey.
It was.
Well, let's get down to it. Let's talk about cheese.
Sure.
Cheese. First of all, tell us a little bit about what you do at the Prospect Street location, what you like about the store, how your job is.
So Prospect is a Prospect Street is
That's a loaded question.
It's a really wonderful, if you've been there, it's a smaller location. But it also has a real good community feel. We have a lot of people who have been shopping at Prospect Street forever, and specifically in the cheese department, we have a lot of people who have been coming to us for cheese for a long time. So overall, my responsibilities are to merchandise cheese, correctly. I maintain the quality standards that we always want to have, make sure that the cheese is being handled properly, being stored properly, being cut properly is a big part of it, because we do cut practically everything by hand in the store.
Right.
And that takes, you don't necessarily have to be a certified cheese professional, but it takes a certain amount of specialized knowledge to know how to properly
That's
break
right.
down a wheel of Gouda, let alone an 85-pound wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see me hacking away at that.
Well, you can have fun. It's
Alright.
yeah.
All right.
And half the cheese would be gone because I like cheese so much.
Yes.
You get sick. You get sick of parm. Actually, in the middle of cutting parm because you
Yeah.
eat so much of it, you're like, oh, I need to stop
I just can't
snacking
do
on this.
Well, yeah, that parm right from the middle.
That's
of
my
you
favorite.
just
No, yeah,
can't-
absolutely.
You really can't compare.
Well, I mean, just think about it. When it first comes out of the wheel, it's the first time it's touched air for 2 years. So it's, you know.
Oh, now we want some parm.
Yeah, we do. But let's talk about school. Let's talk about cheesy lunchbox and snack ideas.
That's right.
And then we're going to talk about like the best cheeses for a lunchbox, how to store cheese, all that kind of stuff. But first, I think we're going to watch a video just
We are.
know a little bit more about Kathy Strange,
Yes.
a little bit more about cheese in general. And then do you want to click to that next? There we go. And then we're going to go right there right now. All right, enjoy the video. Enjoy the music to the video. There we go. You can cut it out.
Well, describing my feelings about cheese are like describing my feelings about music or about the sun coming up. I think it's just a part of who I am, and it lives with me because of all the people I've met in that journey. So the cheese is just not on my plate. The cheese is brought to me by the Mount Belliard cows, or the cheese is brought to me by the copper vat, or the cheesemaker's face that I can see during that journey. It's just incredible that 4 ingredients could speak so many languages. That it can taste like flowers, that it can taste like nuts, that it can taste like rain, that it can smell like socks, that it can smell like honey. It's just incredible how you're able to influence all of those things through those ingredients. Every year you continue to learn, and as long as there's an opportunity to learn, you're never satisfied. I just don't buy from people that bring products into the United States or sell them through distribution. I go and source, and I go and meet the farmers, I go and meet the producers. Being able to be on the ground and understand how healthy the animals are, the richness of the feed that the animals eat every day, and how that translates into high quality cheese. The cheesemaker is the chef that is able to bring all of that to the table, and that reflects in your palate. And if the cheese speaks to me, the personality of the cheese and the flavor comes through, then I want to learn about it. Then I'm going to ask those questions and really try and understand it more. But first of all, that flavor and that personality has to come out. The majority of Americans grow up eating cheese. So whether they eat it when they're young or it's special occasion, they feel like they have an understanding. And from that, they want to share. I never find anyone to be closed-minded about it. I may have a discussion with people like, I don't like goat cheese because it's too flavorful, or I don't like blue cheese. But in reality, they're inquisitive, and if you can make it something that's accessible or compared to something in their life, like I talk about blue cheese like a Bordeaux wine. If they're wine drinkers, I say if you get to Bordeaux, you can get to blue.
Kathy is, she's open, she's honest, she arrives directly at the point, she's passionate, and she goes deep. She goes directly into the cheese factory, and she wants to know the people, because this is about people. This is about dream, this is about poetry.
In the United States, we have a history of undervaluing what we put in our bodies. So we undervalue agriculture. my parents' generation, advancement was getting away from the land. You know, Industrial Revolution was a positive thing, and that was innovative. And now getting back to the land is what's innovative. It's cyclical, but I think it's a good cycle because we've got to respect what's going on with the earth. And, you know, so much of the food is agricultural, and we've got to learn that. We don't want to be consuming processed foods. One of the most natural things out there with 4 ingredients is cheese. So I think it's a good opportunity for that message to take place. I think traditional production, it reflects what's going on with the products. You can taste that there are nuances and complexity. If everything's homogenized, you don't get that variance.
Usually when you meet a buyer, you see them behind the desk, and 90% of the time is spent talking about the price and how low could that be. When I met Kathy, and I felt the focus was on the animal breeding, the quality of the product, the selection, how you're different. Kathy's certainly unique.
The most exciting thing about my work are the people, because they are able to achieve things through their dedication and conviction. So whether it's the farmer or the cheesemaker or the importer that's caring about getting it to you in the right manner, or the team members on the floor selling that cheese, we're one whole system, and we're trying to represent the integrity of the cheese. It's like a marathon. Everyone has their own little steps along the way, and we have the last 200 yards to be able to put it in a customer's mouth to represent that farmer and that animal. And I'm proud of the ability to say we're champions and we're curators, we're lovers of the products, that we're just not selling something, we're selling something that we really care about, and we're sharing it.
Well, that's not a bad job to have.
No,
huh?
that's my ultimate goal would be Kathy Strange's job.
Oh, listen to that, Kathy.
Yeah.
Sam's after your job.
Yeah, I've met Kathy a bunch of times, and she's a very, very, very cool woman. Very down to earth, very, very passionate, and very knowledgeable.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, that video was great.
Yeah.
Right, a lot of fun. Yeah, so let's talk about some fun things we can do. So let's talk about bento boxes with cheese. So kids love lunches with little containers. Dina, you should know about that, what
That's
kids
right.
like in their lunches.
That's right. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have some little, boxes that you can put stuff in, and they like to sort of undo it and see what it is. It's a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I like that too.
Yeah, it's great for kids or adults.
Yes.
You don't have to get really complicated with your lunch. Just a few things that you put into a single box. You just want to build it around. Choose your cheese first,
That's right.
and then just build around it. Do some meat, any kind of meat you would use in a sandwich, luncheon meat, something like that. If you want to get a little fancy, a little prosciutto never hurt anybody.
Oh, okay.
A little fruit, grapes, strawberries, always great with. Pretty much any cheese, and then for cheese, just anything on the harder side is going to hold up really well all day outside of refrigeration. So like a cheddar, an aged Gouda, something like a Jarlsberg is really going to hold up pretty well. You can do something like a brie, like a soft cheese, just as long as you're whoever's going to be eating it is going to eat it within a few hours, or just keep it in refrigeration.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because it
Have
won't
like
be
a little ice
as
cream.
delicious.
It'll turn into a little pile of goo. Is the biggest
in the bottom
problem.
of your box.
Yeah.
Maybe not the most exciting thing to find
No.
in
Yeah,
your
exactly.
little compartment of
Exactly.
your bento box. Talk about a back to school surprise. Well, let's talk about more ideas for lunches. Let's talk about quesadillas.
Yay!
Woo! So quesadillas, something that I've never really thought about for a lunch, because I always think of quesadillas as like hot, and right off the grill. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So anyway, something fun, or an after school snack.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I love quesadillas.
So you can get them on the table quickly when you have hungry kids or hungry adults.
Yeah, definitely. And then you can make them with veggies. You could make them
Yeah.
with like your proteins.
Yeah,
What else?
You saute, any of your favorite little veggies in there, just a small dice. Then, for extra health, you can get a spinach or tomato tortillas are going to be fantastic. And, if you're getting tired of the same old thing, we have a lot of different types of pre-shredded cheese. So these are really great products, really high quality. Don't worry about buying pre-shredded cheese because it tends to be pretty fresh and packaged pretty well. But you can get a completely different flavor out of each one. The Fiesta blend has pepper jack in it. That's a little like burst of spiciness. The Mexican blend is going to give you a little bit more of like a tangy feel. Italian blend is going to be more like nutty and sweet. And they're going to produce 3 different types of quesadillas.
Nice. And talk about convenient.
Absolutely.
You don't have to shred the
Absolutely.
cheese. You don't have to season it.
And it melts
pretty fun.
really beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it does. It's really fun. Yeah, and that's good to know about the quality too, because sometimes I'm like, I should be shredding my own cheese, but
At the end,
it's really good.
At the end of the day, like for absolute the most flavor, yeah, shredding your own cheese is going to be your best bet. But if you want something that's convenient, you're not sacrificing that much for using one of these, and they're really really nice products. I use these at home a lot myself.
Which one's your favorite?
I like the Italian blend. Really nice melt. Has really nice flavor. It's nice and complex.
What do you use it on?
I tend to just throw it on top of like any kind of like
Everything.
soup that I'm making. I'll make super quick like cheese crisps in the microwave. You can just spread some on a plate and microwave it
Wow.
for
That's cool.
3 or 4
That's
minutes.
a great idea.
Yeah.
And they are all crispy?
It gets all crispy. You just want to make sure that in the middle of it you kind of separate it from the plate, but then you get like what you would find in restaurants, like these cheese crisps.
That's
Really
cool.
delicious. Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. That's so fun.
We'll have to give it a whirl.
Yeah, the microwave, man. I just read about the potato chips in microwave.
Yes.
That's really fun.
What?
too. Yeah, you can make potato chips in a microwave.
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah, neat. Talk about snacks.
Yeah.
Yum.
So let's talk a little bit more about that quality of cheese. So reiterating, cheeses that are great for a lunchbox. You were talking about like any harder cheese. And then pay attention to moisture content. That softer cheese will turn into a glob.
If you can give it a good squeeze, it's just not going to hold up as well out of refrigeration.
Right.
But at the end of the day, any cheese is going to be okay for a few hours out of refrigeration, and it's more of a quality issue than it is a food safety issue.
Right. And that makes sense.
If you leave something really soft out overnight, yeah, maybe you want to be suspicious of that. But if it's just a few hours, there hasn't been enough time for anything to happen.
Right. You just have to eat it with a spoon.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let's talk a little bit about how to properly store cheese, since we're talking about cheese anyway.
Yes.
People are always worried that they need to buy, the smallest possible piece of cheese, but cheese is really resilient. As long as you're storing it okay, it's going to last you for a while. So don't be afraid to buy one of those bigger pieces of cheese and just cut yourself new pieces every day. Just make sure you're always rewrapping cheese in wax paper or parchment paper, and then throw it in a zip bag. Or even better, if you ask a team member for some cheese paper when you're buying some cheese, we'll always have a few pieces of this stuff.
Ooh.
That we
See,
can.
that's
we
a
can
good
throw
idea. I
in.
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
And
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, just if you just wrap it up from the corner, you can get a nice tight fit. The two things you're avoiding are light and oxygen, essentially, when you're storing cheese.
And it has
Exactly
pictures
that
of all
too.
different kinds of cheeses on it.
And you could actually use that as like a basis for like a little cheese plate.
You really could. That's
But
really
Right.
always rewrap it. That's
Fancy,
the biggest
fancy.
thing.
Yes.
Always.
Now, do you
always
have to do like plastic wrap after this? Or do you
That's
just
just to
wrap
keep
it?
air out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This keeps light out, but you want a lot of cheeses. You want a little air to be
A
able
little
to
air, so that's okay.
Um,
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, do it. Refrigeration is always going to give you your best quality, but make sure you're serving it room temperature. And last thing I want to get across real quick, if there's mold on your cheese, on a hard cheese, don't worry about it. Just cut it off. The USDA fully endorses just cutting an inch of cheese off of a moldy piece of cheese.
Cut it off, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to do the full inch. That's just for maximum safety,
okay.
but it's not going to affect the food quality.
Great.
The mold can't get in.
Well, thanks, Sam.
You're
That was
welcome.
awesome. We're so happy to have you.
No, I'm
What a
glad to
wealth
be
of
here.
knowledge, you know?
Yeah, and come on
Absolutely.
over to Prospect Street anytime. I'm more than happy to chat cheese. I have a lot of customers who
He will chat cheese with you.
have
Yes.
told me to stop.
And you might even let you taste something too if you're curious, right?
And that's it for this week. So thank you, Cambridge. We'll see you next time.